If I had $1 for every restaurant owner who was looking for a restaurant pricing strategy to get more bang for the buck, if you will, I'd be worth a ton of money. Why? Because everyone ties making money with increased sales, and the easiest way to increase sales is to raise your prices. But there's a limit to how much you can raise your prices, or is there? Want to know the answer? Stay tuned. I'll tell you in a second. Hey, if you like tips and tricks like this, do me a favor, hit the like button, the subscribe button, and oh yeah, click that bell so you're notified every time my new tips come out. Also, if you want more tips and tricks to running a profitable restaurant or hear more restaurant owner success stories, make sure you check out my podcast, Restaurant Prosperity Formula, found on all your favorite podcasting services. Look, raising your prices can be scary, right? I've talked to restaurant owners on almost a weekly basis that I run into or on a discovery call or a coaching member. And they tell me, hey, I haven't raised my prices in 1 or 2 years, maybe even longer, because they're afraid, they're frightened. What if I raise my prices and my customers don't come back? It's fear. Sometimes internal. We don't feel like we deserve to make the money. Sometimes we feel like I can't charge that much. Look at how low that food cost is, but we ignore the fact that we might have something like chicken wings that are running at a 34 or even 38% food cost. We don't understand menu mix, and that every time we sell an item, it's not that specific item that makes us money, it's the menu. And all that menu is the lifeblood of the business. It's got to pay for the rent, the utilities, for the payroll. You get the picture? So we've got to get it out of our head that raising prices is scary. Because I want you to think about it. How often have you raised prices and nobody said a word? The next thing is, there's definitely a limit to how much you can raise your prices, right? You've got to know your market. You've got to know your price points. You've got to know quality of product you're selling, the style of service you have. The problem is most restaurant owners don't even get close to finding out what the limit of their pricing is because that fear stops them. It keeps us so low. The other part is here, I want you to stop thinking about price, right? We're focusing right now on pricing. I want you to focus on service. Now, there's a book I want you to get, and I've been promoting this book for almost 2 decades now. The author is John R. DeJulius. The book is called Secret Service. Now, John DeJulius is a Secret Service expert. Seminars, workshops, training materials, coaching groups, the whole bit. So he's a guru status. And he started off by having hair salons, $100 haircuts, kind of like what I get, right? Anyway, hopefully you're laughing at that. But here's the deal, $100 haircuts. Now across the street, he tells a story, a $15 haircut place opens up. What would an independent restaurant owner tend to do when they have a concept like a Cheddar's, right? It's a lower end Applebee's concept. Everything's low price, and they drive thousands of people through there because of the low prices. So they kind of become the Taco Bell, if you will, of the full service restaurant industry. Well, they get fearful, like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna need to lower my prices to compete with them. They're gonna steal my business. See, John DeJulius says with WOW customer service, well, we make price irrelevant. How do I mean? He puts up a banner in front of his place when the $15 haircut place opens up and says, we fix $15 haircuts. Like it's brilliant. See, because in his businesses, customer service is the priority. He has a list of non-negotiables of what people have to do, or if they don't do it, they will not work there. Like when a guest is, or a patron is 3 feet away from any stylist, they must stop what they're doing, smile and say, how are you today? Is there anything I can help you with? Those are the non-negotiables, the list of service items. And he goes on in the book with restaurant ideas that are great. From, hey, you've got a regular customer comes in and they order the same bottle of wine every single time, but you know it. And what you do is you print Avery labels up that says, from the private stock of David Scott Peters. And when they order it, they've got their friends at the table. Here they present the bottle of wine and it has this label from the private stock. And the guests are like, wow. And how good you make them feel. It's that time when you hear that somebody's running late for a movie and they're afraid they've got to get out of there to get their tickets. And you said, hey, I'm gonna go above and beyond and I'm gonna go buy those movie tickets and drop them on the table and say, hey, take your time. It's those wow customer service things that truly make a difference. So here's the deal. You have to feel comfortable raising your prices. Because ultimately, here's what happens. I've worked with independent restaurants since 2003. And there was a time and place at my old company that my business partner was on the phone with one of our members. And I heard, "I'm not being confrontational." And I'm like, what is going on? I later found out that he had gone through our menu engineering techniques and we had made a decision and helped him change his menu. My old partner was a chef, so he literally grabbed out of his bag of tricks new menu items, things that weren't brown and yellow and frozen and dropped in a fryer, that would be fresh items from scratch that would reduce his food cost. But he would also have to raise some prices. And he was afraid to do those things. Raise prices, change things. What if my customers don't come back? And he had said, look at these numbers. By making these changes, if 25% of your customers, 1 out of every 4 customers don't come back, you will make more money. Are you ready? But the fear of raising prices, making change stopped him. He was so worried about pushback. Do you ever find yourself in that spot? Don't. You've got to really make a change mentally. I would say it's safe to say that if you don't get some sort of pushback from your customers, you haven't figured out where your restaurant pricing can go. Think about it. When was the last time you raised your prices and you waited a long time? And once you did so, I had franchisees when I was the chief operating officer at Famous Sam's, a husband, wife. They'd come in the middle of the night and they would restuff the menus themselves. They would reprogram the POS system because they didn't want to tell the employees. They didn't want the servers to go to a table. Can you believe they raised the prices? Like, doesn't make sense to me, but you understand in our culture sometimes that's what you get. Because all server does is press a button. They don't really know the prices anymore. Well, they did this, and what they do is you hide behind a shield and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm waiting for the arrows, right? And nobody says a damn word. See, I would tell you that you need to keep raising your prices until you get some form of pushback. Hey, wow, that's pretty high, or what have you. And then you go, oh, I now know the limit of my customer. Without knowing that, you're leaving profitability and cash flow on the table. So stop focusing on price and start focusing on hospitality like John DeJulius talks about. With wow customer service, we make price irrelevant. Don't compete on a $12 burger versus a $10 burger. Compete on the experience, and you'll be on your way to getting more bang from your buck when it comes to restaurant pricing strategies. If you're tired of not being able to leave your restaurant because no one else knows how to run it, I want to make sure you know it doesn't have to be that way. You can leave your restaurant. It is possible to build a team of people who know how you want the restaurant to run. With these trained and responsible people in place, you can give yourself time away. What would you do if you had time away from your restaurant? Would you sleep better? Would your relationships improve? Would you feel more relaxed? These are all things you deserve to experience as a business owner. It's why we own our own businesses. If you would like to learn how to own a restaurant that doesn't depend on you to be successful, click the link in the description to watch a free training course that teaches you exactly what you have to do. Also, be sure to subscribe to get my weekly tips and watch these 2 videos to get more information and guidance for running a successful restaurant.